Hello everyone, welcome to week 4 of IS 688 where we will finish up Module 2. Some announcements first. 11 stories have been posted so far to the Assignment 1 Medium publication, so that's good. You can go check them out at the Medium publication and see what your fellow students have written. In terms of stats, already several of the posts have received a good number of views, and at least one of them have been asked, or one of your fellow students has been asked to feature their story in another unaffiliated Medium publication, so that's pretty cool. Your Module 2 assignment is assigned and is due next week on February 17th. That's primarily about applying what you've learned from week 3 and then this week, week 4, about graph mining or network mining and analysis in the web. Remember to provide you some material or resources or examples for this. You can check out the GitHub repository where I've put a number of Jupyter notebooks and Python code for analyzing and building these graphs. There's also the Arvist example or link to the Arvist tutorial in Canvas. A note, a couple of you have asked me about Facebook's API for building graphs from social networks. I would heavily recommend or highly recommend you avoid the Facebook Graph API unless you have used it before or you have some very specific use case. Over the past several years, Facebook's APIs have become increasingly more restricted and of limited capability as a result of Cambridge Analytica and related privacy concerns. So much of the initial or original functionality that was available in the Graph API is no longer available unless you've gone through a number of steps about getting access to particular kinds or particular access to Facebook services. Also note, for the Module 2 assignment, you do not need social media for this assignment. You can do graph analysis on the author links that I showed you or building graphs of websites that reference each other. What we'll be talking about in this section from Chapter 10 is more graph mining, not necessarily about social media. So if you don't have a social media presence, that's fine here. Regarding the semester project, I'm working on getting you feedback for your project proposals right now, so be on the lookout for those. For the lecture that we want to go over today, or that we're going to go over this week, there are 4 main objectives. One is to describe a number of centrality metrics. The second is to leverage betweenness centrality with the Garvin-Newman method to identify communities and graphs. Then we'll talk about bipartite graphs to get some more sophisticated kind of graph mechanism or graph construct. And then finally, we'll talk about how we can use random walks, a technique that we introduced with PageRank, and its applications to graphs and bipartite graphs in particular to measure similarity, which will then lead us into the next module in Module 3. Note that there's a discussion section for Module 2. If you have questions about anything in any of the lecture from last week or this week, post it there. A number of students have already taken advantage of that. And then for next week, so as I mentioned, as we end this module, this will lead us into the Chapter 3 content about finding similar items, which will have a number of metrics for evaluating similarity and hashing and distance metrics. So in particular, if you could read sections 3.1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Chapter 3 in preparation for next week or next module. Also, for next week, remember Module 2 is due, and the resources are available to you. And then the week after that is the data collection report for your semester project. So be sure to be working on that as well. If you should be able to work on this even if I haven't given you your feedback for the project proposal. Essentially, if I have not given you explicit feedback, your project proposal is likely fine. So continue to work as though, or continue to operate the plan as you had put in your proposal. All right, if you have any questions about any of this for Module 2, there's the Module 2 discussions, as I mentioned. Any questions about the project, you can post in the project discussion forum as well.